Hi, I'm John Hood. I'm the author of a series of historical fantasy novels called the Folklore Cycle. The first book of the series, Mountain Folk, was published last year. The second book in the series is called Forest Folk, and it's about to be published. This is the second in a series of videos we prepared to give you an advanced look at the world of forest folk. When I say my books are historical fantasy, what do I mean? Well, my novel Forest Folk unfolds during the young American Republic of the early 1800s, so readers will encounter people, events, and places they know from history, such as Andrew Jackson, the War of 1812, and the new capital city of Washington, D.C. But readers will also encounter dwarves, elves, magic wands, enchanted realms, and terrifying monsters that emerge from European, African, and Native American folklore. They all play key roles in the story. One of the monsters that you'll meet early in the pages of Forest Folk is the Tlanusi. According to Cherokee legend, the Tlanusi lurked just below the surface of the Valley River, right there behind me, in what is now the town of Murphy, North Carolina. Now, the Cherokee actually called this place Tlanusi, meaning the Leech Place. Yep, we're talking about a giant leech. A leech the size of a small house. Its body was said to be bright red with white stripes running from one end to the other. Speaking of which, protruding from each end of the leech was a giant toothless mouth that could suck the blood and the life out of its victims. According to the tale, the giant leech caught its prey by shooting a spout of water at anyone foolish enough to get too close to its lair. Once its victim was knocked into the river, the leech attached a mouth and dragged its prey down to a watery death. The giant leech is only one of many monsters I imported from legend and folklore into the world of forest folk. Another one ought to be familiar to you, the Minotaur. A creature from Greek mythology, it had the body of a man and the head of a bull. The Minotaur lived in the center of a giant labyrinth of King Minos on the island of Crete. Another creature you'll meet in Forest Folk is the Windigo, an ice giant that appears under various names and guises in the folklore of Indian communities along the Great Lakes. In some versions of the tale, a Windigo was once a human being who became corrupted by greed and transformed into a hideous cannibal. In Forest Folk, I not only borrow from traditional folklore, such as those Ojibwe stories about Wendigos, but also from early speculative fiction by authors such as Washington Irving, Edgar Allan Poe, Nathaniel Hawthorne, and Robert Louis Stevenson, especially when these authors use legendary or supernatural elements in their stories. I'll mention one other mythic monster that makes an appearance in Forest Folk. It's called a Rompo. In the folklore of Central and Southern Africa, a Rompo has the head of a rabbit, the arms of a badger, the legs of a bear, and a long weasel-like body. As it feasts on corpses, the Rompo is said to sing an eerily beautiful song. Now, I should say that while monsters roam through the world of forest folk, just as they did in my first novel, Mountain Folk, I've written much more than a scary bedtime story. Forest Folk depicts such historical events as the War of 1812, the Trail of Tears, and the origins of the Underground Railroad. In future videos, I'll give you even more glimpses into the world of forest folk. You can always go learn more for yourself by visiting the website for the book. That's forestfolkbook.com. While there, you can learn how to order the book as a paperback, as a digital download, or as an audiobook. See you soon!